Hey, Kim.
Hey, Jen, how are you?
Good. Good. We had a question sent in this week. She says, it's from Christie, and she says, I'm struggling with holding a link. Do you have any tips or suggestions?
Okay. How about, do you have anything first before I start?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is holding it is there's an energy component and a focus component. So it's like, how long have you been practicing? One, because if you're practicing at first and you can hold that connection for 2 to 5 minutes, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that energy reserve yet. You don't, and the focus. So, everyday focus, are you able to focus for more than 2 minutes at a time? Because that makes a difference. I know I did, I'm asked to go speak to different groups, and I spoke to a group of, they were pharmacy students actually. And I did this activity where we held a focus for 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes because there's a lot of research through the Heart Math Institute that talks about holding that focus for that 3-minute mark. And not only does it help with your body, but it helps with energy. And there's a whole lot of research there on the energy of the heart and expanding. And 3 minutes is that magic marker to, and
Right.
these are like, so they'd be like early 20s people. But not that that means anything. We're all like this now, but to even sit still, like totally still for 3 minutes was beyond I'd say over 60% of the people there. So it's like training yourself to have that focus first, I think. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, no, that's a good point. I have another point too, but I'll get to the focus point first. Janet O'Havoc has focus exercises. She used to always suggest that we do focus exercises. And she also made a point to tell us, don't quit your day job because it gives you focus.
Right.
So there's a lot of different things that you can do for focus, and I usually tell my students, if you have a hobby such as crocheting or painting or whatever it may be, it aids in your focus. And also, and people don't like to hear this sometimes, but meditation also, even if you meditate for 3 minutes.
Right.
Or and then you can build up if that's what you choose to do, to build up, to 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
So doesn't Janet talk about even doing like math and puzzle things in your head, or, just counting backwards by threes, or even doing a puzzle or word searches and all those kind of things that you wouldn't think has anything to do with anything mediumship, and yet it trains you to be in that focus space.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One of the exercises is count back, start from 1,000, count back by 3. I used to tell people, if you're in the bathroom in a in a restaurant, start counting the tiles. So you can also, I forgot what else. There was something else, but memorizing certain things, memorizing a poem or lyrics to a song or whatever, that also gives you a focus as well.
Exactly. Or, paying attention to somebody or something while there's background stuff going on. Yeah. So I know, I swear my time in the classroom was perfect training for this, because I had a science and an activity classroom and a social studies class. We always had stuff going on, kids doing everything all over the place. And yet the kid in front of you that needed help, you knew that stuff was going on, but you also had to recognize what words were coming out of their mouth. So it's like being able to hone in on something, like one thing in a crowded space, and able to hold that focus and still knowing what else is going on, but holding that space here as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And another suggestion would be, and I didn't think about this until we started talking about the puzzles. Even if you have an iPhone, you have the games on the iPhone, sometimes they have puzzles on there. And so, and I have a bunch of puzzle games. that I do when I get bored or something, you know, if I have a break at work, you know, I do puzzle games. So that gives you focus too. The other point that I wanted to make also is a lot of times we lose focus, or we are endangering of dropping the link, is because we're thinking too much with our mind. We're
Mhm.
thinking too much with the information that is coming through, whether it's right or wrong, or those no's from the sitter also throw us. So
Right.
we also have to be aware of the energy that we are working with all the time, because sometimes, and I guess this would be another little Q&A that we do, or another session that we do. But another thing that you have to keep in mind is, again, the energy that you're working with, the other person that you're working with, and other people have certain expectations of what a reading should be like, or they have certain wants. And so when you're not delivering those wants, you're delivering the need, but they don't care about the need. They want their mother to come through. They don't care about great grandma coming through, but there might be a need for great grandma to come through. So that alone, when you hear that, that messes up your thinking pattern. That starts to, you know, get you all kind of discombobulated. So that also will throw off your focus, and that's when you also start to endangering of dropping the link.
Exactly. No, no, you're right. You're right. It's other people's vibe can throw you off of your own vibe if you're not careful.
It does. It absolutely does. And I'll give you a perfect example of that. Now, I do, as you know, I do readings in a winery every other Saturday. So this past Saturday, I had 12 readings.
Wow.
Yeah, like in a 3-hour period. And they're very small. They're like 10 to 15-minute readings. So it's boom, 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 you know? So anyhow, I'm trying to think, the first 8 went fine. You know, most of them were mediumship. And usually for me, it's me, it's not spirit. I get a little tired out and whatnot, and usually it kind of dips a little bit. But it held its own. It was fine. And I got to number 9 and number 10, who were at the same table. These women who were drinking a lot. Usually it's a winery, so they're not really getting drunk, but apparently they didn't get the memo on that. And so, and I didn't see the signs of it. And they weren't slurring or anything, but I could tell that they had quite a few. Anyhow, they get back there, and I didn't get it until in the middle of the reading. But again, I didn't connect to either one of them. And that's another thing. People get to, oh, you know, I'm always connecting, and all of a sudden I didn't connect. Well, how long have you been doing mediumship? Because you know what? You're not going to connect all the time. And I hear that from the best of the best. You just don't connect all the time because of the energy that you're working with. And they were like, you know, it wasn't working. So what did I do? I'm not charging them. You go, you know, so sorry, I'm just not connecting to you, blah, blah, blah. But number 11 and 12 were fine.
It's a perfect example. Sometimes it just doesn't for whatever reason, you know, it's not jiving with that, or, you know, and who knows, but if they really were not focused themselves, then it wouldn't have been a healing space for anything you would have said anyway. You know, it's just, you know, at that point. Yeah. I like, there was something you said though, you said that was sometimes you get tired and you dip your energy. I think that's another great point, that we need to pay attention to ourselves and where we are at with our own energy, and to even pay attention. We all have cycles through the week, through the day, through the month, through the year, or when, you know, and if you start to pay attention to that, to yourself, like there's a couple hours during the day that I would prefer to do my readings, because I know my energy is at its highest, you know, that I am best at those couple hours. Or I know there's a month in the year that, you know, I'm just not myself anyway. It's like the darkest month where I live. And I know you know, it's not that you can't do the readings, but you know your own energy and how many you can do as opposed to a different time, or even how long you can hold it, that focus and that energy in one time before you try, because I know when I very, very first started, some of the churches around here would have what they called Mediumship Sundays, and you'd go and you volunteer your time and you do like little mini readings for an hour, and then the church would get donations for that.
Right.
So I know when I first started, maybe I only lasted the first half hour, right? Maybe I did 3 mini readings, and then the more practiced I got, I could hold it for that and do like 4 or 5 in that little hour. But I think just to pay attention to ourselves too, and to honor that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you're just starting out, or even if you're in the beginning stages, or even a year or so, sometimes you have to cut yourself a break and understand that, you start off small, if you're doing multiple readings, like if you are at a psychic fair, so you just do 5 or do 4 or do 3,
Mhm.
I don't even like doing the 12, to be honest with you. And I even talked to the owner and I said, maybe we should cut it down to 10 readings. And she goes, yeah, whatever you want, so she was fine with that, because again, it's not like an all day thing where they're coming in and out and I have a break and this, it's like boom, boom, boom,
Boom,
boom,
boom,
boom.
boom. Yeah.
So, yeah. So
Yeah,
you
I know
have to,
the longer psychic fairs, I don't do them anymore.
yeah,
But I learned to take a couple decks of cards with me, because I knew my energy would start depending, either the person, or there's a million things going around, or it was a really long day. Some were like 8-hour days,
yes,
right? So if I felt my energy dipping, for me, I would use a tool then to keep my focus. So especially during the ones that were the more psychic readings and not the mediumship readings.
right.
So you figure out little tricks for yourself to keep yourself focused and moving. That, and I think the energies are different between, at least for me, between holding a psychic connection and holding a mediumship connection. Because if I start getting tired, I can still do psychic like all day long if I have to. But
Yeah.
the mediumship one is the one that, if I'm tired, tends to fizzle in and out. And
Yeah.
there's other people, it's the opposite. So
And just one more point before we end. I also want to bring up the fact that to hold I don't know if to hold the link, probably misuse of words, but when we talk about holding the link, you also have to recognize, when spirit is coming in. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my train of thought. When spirit is coming in, there's a lot of people now that come into development. And even like I said before, maybe a year or so, still have the idea that you're supposed to sit there, you prep, whatever you do, you shift your awareness, and the information is going to roll. And I try to tell people, you got to be proactive with your readings. You have to get in there. You have to be a participant
right.
in readings. So for instance, you have somebody that knocks at the door. You're not going to just open up the door and walk away. You're going to say, come on in. What would you like to drink?
Right.
What would you like for breakfast, Jen?
Exactly.
Blah, 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 blah. Would you like to sit on the patio? Blah, blah, blah. Now, what I mean by that is you're not going to tell spirit that, you're not going to ask spirit that, but what you're going to do is, if the information is not rolling in right away, get a list of evidence that you can dive into. What was the funeral like? What was their passing like? What were their hobbies? So that is really good to start diving into, what were their pets' names, pets, locations, the legacy they want to leave behind. There's so many different kind of points of information that you can kind of dive into. So, and just getting an idea of how to kind of dive into that and extracting that information as well. And that will get you on a roll. And then that's when the reading will start to flow, or not, or you try. So
no, I think that's right. We have to go and, we have to meet up with
exactly.
spirit, not wait for them to be present. And
yeah,
right. And you're right. There is a different, because I think, there is an energy exchange on the side of spirit as well. So spirit needs to get to our energy as much as our energy needs to get to spirit energy. Right. And not every spirit personality is, I don't know that you end up in spirit world and automatically know how to, maneuver your energy like that, or, it's up to us to go and, like you said, open the door,
Yeah. Exactly. And there's a lot of people who say to me, well, okay, well, they're not saying anything. They're not doing anything. Well, go get it. Go get it.
Right. Yeah. You have
Go
to
get
recognize it. You have to be involved with it.
Right.
Have things you'd like us to discuss, send it in and we will put it on our list.
Yes, please do that. That'd be fun.